Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Dolls of Horror podcast. I have with me a super special guest. Been talking about having this guest on for a couple of years, and stuff just happened, and we never got around to it. Can I call you one of my favorite modern day indie scream queens?
Oh, wow, that's very sweet. I mean, you can. That's very, very sweet. Thank you so much.
Rebekah Kennedy, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad that we could finally make this work.
Right. Thanks for reaching out and following up because I initiated this and then life happened and I picked
Yes.
up a third job and then conventions that were going on and then everything was going on. And then I was like, crap, I forgot. And then you reached out, hey, you want to talk about this movie? I'm like, God, yes.
No, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you said yes. And thank you for, reaching out in the first place. And yeah, I'm so glad we finally made this work.
Yeah, I'm so excited. As I told you, even mentioned you in my panel with Phyllis Rose a couple of months ago, which I still haven't edited, so it's not even out there yet, but it will be soon. And I'd forgotten your last name. I'm like that girl, Rebecca, like
Yeah,
just
good
flew
enough.
out the window.
That's
But
okay.
yeah, so yeah, you've always been in the forefront of my mind. I love your work. Okay, I'm
Thank you.
fangirling just a little bit.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. So things that I have loved you in. Two Witches. What the fuck? That was awesome. That was amazing. You give amazing creepy bad guy.
Thank you. Thank you. It's funny to say thank you to that, but I will
Yes.
I will take that compliment in.
It's a compliment because I'm assuming that's not you in real life,
I hope so. I would
right?
hope. I hope I'm not.
We have The Unseen. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And To the Bone, short part in the beginning.
Mhm.
Amazing,
Yeah,
right?
that was such a special movie to be a part of, even with just a small role, just to
Mhm.
be, telling that story was a very cool experience.
Yeah. And you opened the movie. So
Yeah,
there
I'll
you
take
go.
it. I'll take it.
Right. It starts with you, you set the tone. All
Yeah,
right. And I haven't seen this yet, don't hate me.
that's okay.
We have Crust.
Yes, yes, yes. You have to check that out when you get a chance.
I can't wait. I mean, it's on my list and people always say that and it's never on their list, but it is on my list of things to watch this month. So
Thank you. I
so
appreciate
it's definitely going to happen. So to begin, let's start talking about you, shall we? I want to know about your acting journey. When did this happen for you? Were you always an actor? Did you fall into it later in life? How'd this start?
Yeah, so, from the very beginning, when I was 4, my mom took me to see my first play. It was like some children's show, I couldn't even tell you what it was, but at a children's theater in Texas, and I, sorry, I apologize for my voice. It was a late night last night, so I still have morning voice. Um, and, I was watching it, and I remember saying to her, "Mommy, I can do that." And she's like, "Okay, you're 4, like, whatever," it's kinda thing. And, I had an older sister, and we were busy doing other things, and so it just never came to fruition and never no never went anywhere. And so finally, when I was 12, I had kept bringing it up throughout the years, and finally, when I was 12, I did not make the cheerleading squad at, junior high, 7th grade year, and I was devastated. All my friends were being cheerleaders, and
I didn't make it in 8th grade. I was devastated. I
yes, high
get you. I
five.
get you.
Yeah, they said I was not loud enough, which, you know, I'm sure was probably the case, especially back then. I still, be I was very I wasn't I wasn't an introvert, but I've always been an introvert extrovert, if that makes sense.
Completely.
And yeah, and
Yeah.
so, I came home and I was so upset and just, distraught, like, "What am I gonna do?" And, my mom finally said, "Okay, do you wanna try this? Try acting. Like, you've been bugging me about it, like, do you wanna do it?" And I was like, "Yes, I wanna see what this is about." So she found a local children's group that anybody that wanted to be a part of it could be a part of it. You auditioned for the different parts. They were doing The Music Man, and they had already started rehearsing, but they were so kind to just put me in numbers, and
Mhm.
I that was it. I fell in love with it. My mom said she came back to pick me up the first day, and she saw my face and she's like, "I knew this was it for you." And it was. And I did that for several years. I did theater for many, many years. I went to college for theater. I did theater after graduation. And, I went to school in Florida and I moved back to Texas where I'm from originally just to kind of, get my bearings, figure out what I was going to do. I had every plan to move to New York and pursue acting there, theater. And I met what is my now husband, but back then, we were just dating. And I had kind of had an interest in film and TV, but I didn't know how to get into it. I wasn't, it is not like it is now where it's so much stuff is online and you can, figure out stuff. Back then it was a little more tricky. So I had a few friends that did theater that said, hey, I can give you some pointers. I can, whatever. So um I was an extra in a short film where I played, this guy that his girlfriend, and we were at a funeral. And a friend of mine there said, "Hey, if you're interested in doing this for real, I can refer you to my agency." And he was so kind to do that because I had no film or TV credits. I had, done a couple of short films, but that was really it. And they took me on a trial basis. Let's see how it goes. And then I started, I took a couple years, but then I started working. I did house hunting, which I filmed in Virginia, which I have a poster over there on the wall. I did a creature, which you can kind of see. I did Season of the Witch with Nicolas Cage, which is somewhere up here. And I booked a co-star on Memphis Beat, and so that kind of began my film and TV career. And then in like 2012, I had a manager reach out that really liked me and house hunting, and he was like, have you ever thought about moving to LA to do this? And I was like, I don't know. I was, it's not just me. I was married by then, and uh, so I was like, well, I'll just come out here for a couple months and just see if I even like it. Because, it's like people move here and they hate it, and that is totally valid. And I was like, I don't want to pack up my whole family and move and decide 2 months down the road or
Yeah.
6 months that I hate it. So I came out here for just a couple months, started taking class, just meeting people. And I went back home and I was like, I think we need to move. And so a month later we did. And so we've been in LA for like 13 years now. And that was really, moving the first couple years obviously were very tough, but moving has opened up, so many opportunities for me that I, wouldn't have had. So that's kind of brings me up to like where I am now. And I've done, quite a few TV shows. You mentioned the movies. So yeah, so that's a long story, but long journey, short story, but of how I kind of got here now.
And guys, like I only mentioned a few highlight movies that I've seen. Your IMDb is half a mile long. Like
Oh,
there's a lot to it, okay? So there's a lot out there to explore on the greatness that is you. Now
oh,
you have done a lot of horror shorts
mhm.
and full-length features.
Yes.
So do you like horror, or are you one of those girls that doesn't like horror at all and just does it?
No, I love horror. I fell in love with horror when I was 11. I watched the It miniseries. That was my first introduction. I was at a sleepover. My poor friend, I scarred her for life. We were at a sleepover for her like 11th birthday, and we went to Blockbuster as we do. I'm aging myself, but and I convinced her family. I don't know why they said yes to and rent the It miniseries, and I was the only one I think that was like, "Oh, I love it." They were all like screaming and holding, covering their eyes. And the next day I went back home and I was like, "Oh, we got to go rent this movie." And I wanted my parents to rent it because I didn't feel like I'd really gotten to watch it,
Uh-huh.
because they were too busy like being, young and like screaming.
Yeah.
And that was it. I've loved horror ever since. It wasn't an intentional thing to act in horror. It wasn't like, oh, I was going to seek it out or try to do it. It just, as an actor, when you're first auditioning, and let's be honest, still to this day, when you're auditioning, a lot of times you take what you book. You don't get to be super picky on what you're doing. So, the first couple of things I booked happened to be horror. And, I was lucky that I had really great experiences doing all the films. And I feel really lucky to have been in them. They were all great experiences. And then, as people see that you're doing horror and that you're in that space, you kind of start getting offered more of that. So that's kind of how that transpired. But I feel, um, really lucky to still be doing it and getting to tell the stories I want to tell as well in that space. And so I have a feeling I'll probably always be going back to doing it throughout my career, you know.
That's beautiful. So, it was your first horror movie, is that safe to say? Did you
Yep.
have any horror experience before that? That that
Like
you had
watching or
Yes, yes, that had when you were for example, so I fell in love with horror when I was 8 in 1990, with Suspiria, right? I'm like,
yeah.
"Ballet and witches,
Mhm.
what?"
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
And that's what really cemented it, and from then on, it was all horror all the time.
Mhm.
But I remember sneaking a watch at Killer Clowns from Outer Space a few years before, so I was probably around 5,
Oh, wow, that's
and
very
I was scared, I was terrified, and I watch that now, I'm like, "Really? Really? That scared you?"
when you're a kid, that's so
Okay.
scary.
So
Yeah.
so I had that horror experience when I was 5, and I remember being afraid of the masks in, like, the drugstore.
Right.
You
Mhm.
know, at Thrifties, like, the Halloween masks, I was
Yes.
scared in the
Uh-huh.
Halloween aisle, my mom would remind me now how scared I was of the Halloween aisle, and I would just run and cry.
Yeah.
And so, like, I had this, like, fear, but then something clicked with Suspiria, and when I was 8, where I was like, "I'm good." So,
Mm.
did you have any, like, horror experiences watching before that time, and how did you react?
I don't remember watching anything before. I mean, maybe my mom can answer this. I don't know
You would
why
have remembered because you would have been
I
traumatized.
know, I don't know why I wanted to rent that movie. There was something in me that, like, when you're walking around Blockbuster back in the day, and you're, like, scanning all the aisles and, it's always fun to watch a scary movie when you're at a sleepover.
Right.
But I hadn't really, Scream and all those movies hadn't come out yet, so
Yeah.
it's, I don't know why I was, drawn to that movie, but for whatever reason I mean, thank God I was, because that,
Yeah,
got me into it, but for whatever yeah, I don't really remember anything before that other than just maybe glimpses on TV or something, or hearing people talking about stuff, um, but I yeah, that's really the first thing I remember, like, fully watching and then being like, "Oh, I really like this," and I never had nightmares. My sister had nightmares after she watched, like, she convinced my parents to let her watch Carrie, and then she had
yeah.
no, I never had nightmares, so my parents were like, "As long as you don't have nightmares and you're not up in the middle of the night and scared, we'll let you watch this. But as soon as you're, having that reaction, then we're gonna
Mhm.
be more careful of what we let you see." So, but I never yeah, I never was scared of it. Yeah, so and
Have
I'll
you
watch anything horror, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Good.
Have you had a reaction later or maybe in your, like, adolescent, early teens where a movie scared you or a scene scared you or freaked you out? I have a few, and they were all gore scenes, honestly, and it's only 3 that really made me go, "Oh," and turn it off, and I got physically nauseous, and then I went back to it and finished it. But
Okay,
have
well,
you ever had, like, that reaction?
I'll tell me mine, and then you gotta tell me yours.
Okay.
So, I've only had a couple times where it was, like, a visceral
Yeah.
so the first one is in the horror movie Frozen, have you seen that?
Adam Green's Frozen, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the scene where, they fall asleep and she has her hand stuck to the bar, and when she
Oh,
wakes up, they're stuck, and she
yeah,
has to
yeah.
peel it off.
Uh-huh.
That made me, physically, like, squirm.
Uh-huh.
Um, that scene, and then, in Haunting of Hill House, Mike Flanagan's, I didn't have any problems watching it, but I woke up in the middle of the night, and the bent neck lady, definitely, she was, like, in my room or something, I
In
don't know.
your subconscious.
Yeah, she was, like, when I woke up in the middle of the night, like, that one infiltrated into my mind more so than other movies. I'm not super, and maybe this is why I do them as well. It takes a lot to really bother me in a movie or, like, make me wanna look away. I mean, I jump a lot if it's, like, the good jump scare. I mean, I'll do that in the theater for sure. But not too many things, like, really, like, bother me, but, like, those are 2 things that stuck out to me. So you have to tell me yours.
Okay, so, uh, we're around the same age, I'm gathering based on what we've said, give or take a couple of years, right? Uh, So my first physical reaction would be Poltergeist. By the way, a PG movie.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh, the clown." No, not the clown. I love the clown. Clown's my
Mhm.
jam, right? I want to own a clown, right?
Yeah.
But it was the part where Marty's ripping off his face into the sink.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That got me. I'm like, "Ugh," and it made me physically ill,
Yeah.
and I had to turn it off, and then I came back to it the next day. And
That's great.
yeah, but I was like, "Oh my gosh." So I interviewed him once, at a convention, and I was able to share that story. I'm like, "Congratulations, you're one of 3 that's ever freaked me out."
That's like, that's pretty good because you don't have many. So,
The other ones were, A Scene in a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3,
okay.
where Philip sleepwalks with his tendons, and that got me bodily muscles, organs, that always gets me. I did not even like health class, like, the just looking at the diagram of all the muscles in the book icked me out, right?
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
can watch someone get torn apart in a movie, no problem, like,
No problem. Yeah.
whatever. So that part gave me the ick, and I remember, like, wrapping myself up extra tight in the blankies so my feet wouldn't be exposed, right?
Mm. Yeah.
What? And then this one is the most impressive because there's no physical visual gore, it's all in your brain, but have you ever seen Doctor Giggles?
I have not. No.
Okay. So, I think 1992, Larry Drake plays our villain, Holly Marie Combs is in it, a bunch of other people are in it. And there's a scene with a lady, and it's the premise is a doctor who's been in the insane asylum was never a doctor, but wanted to practice medicine. So he knows the anatomy, but he's nuts,
Right.
right? So, and he giggles. I know it sounds hokey. It is. It's great. Uh,
I'll definitely check it out.
he escapes, right? And he starts tearing. He goes back to his old childhood home that's been condemned.
Mhm.
Very very like Halloween Michael Myers house type, right? And he pulls out his own medical kit and he just starts seeking out the residents and fixing them and in his weird weird ways. And there was one lady who was upset and she was binging on some ice cream in
Mm.
the middle of the night, and he didn't think that was a good idea. So, he pulled out his contraption that was a tube with a blade on the top of it, and he turns it on, and the blade goes into the tube, right? And then they imply he's sticking it down her throat, sucking the ice cream out, and then they show him turn it off. And so the blade is coming back up the tube, and then they
Oh,
just show blood in the bowl, and that made me so
yeah.
physically nauseous, right? And they showed nothing. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays, like, it's so much stuff is done off screen, but it's still, um, like, effective,
Right.
because a lot of it is sound
Yes.
and more so than it is visual.
Right, all implied, and so that was the most impressive to me to this day, to give me that reaction, and you don't show a thing. It was like the Psycho situation, right? Anyways, check out Doctor Giggles. It's a it's a cult classic. I love it.
I would definitely check it out.
I still love it to this day. It's super hokey, but, in the best way because it's 1992, right?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So, what excites you about horror now and how it's evolved from when we were kids and before to what we got to now?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can explore so many themes. I mean, you always could, but, you can take something like, like, for example, postpartum depression
Mhm,
or, and explore it in a way that, you can't in any other genre. And, it's like you can manifest things like the movie that I have coming out called Traumatica that's coming out September 12th, I'm so excited about. It is a movie like the name says, about trauma
mm,
and the manifestation of what that looks like if you were to have it on the outside, what's happening inside if it were to come out. And I feel like so many movies are able to do that in a way that it's like somehow you're like, I can relate to that, even though it's so outrageous in terms of like this would never happen in life. But
mhm.
yet you're you're able to somehow, relate to what's happening to them, all the way back to, like, of course, Rosemary's Baby and The
Mhm.
Exorcist, and just, there are so many great examples of it, even way back when. But I feel like, especially now, with the audiences now, like we have high expectations now, and little room for things that maybe back in the day we would have been more forgiving of.
Mhm.
So it's an interesting what that's kind of evolved into, in terms of like what we're able to kind of explore in a way that isn't hitting you over the head with it, and isn't like, I hate to say boring, but isn't boring, is a way that many people can come together to talk about. So we've had a great year so far in horror, and great, several many years in horror, and I'm excited
Yeah.
to see what is coming next in it.
Who were your horror influences? Like, is there anyone in the horror genre that really inspires you?
I mean, I would love to work with Mike Flanagan. I think
Mhm.
he is just brilliant in his storytelling and his ways of keeping things like it could be a normal scene with you and I. That's why I loved, one reason I loved To Fall at the House of Usher, because it's like you and I could just be talking like this, having a normal conversation, and then like something, appears in the background and then gone, and there's no build up to it. There's no music that's telling you something's coming. There's no like bracing for it. It just happens and it catches you off guard and you're like, wait, what? Or, like I mentioned, Haunting of Hill House, where it's like you're looking for the ghosts in the scene and you may or may not catch them the first time. I think he's just really, I mean, there's so many great horror directors and writers and influences, but he's one that I would definitely love to work with, because I think he's just really sets a really beautiful, horrific story in
Mhm.
that.
And as a young performer, before this horror thing started for you, who inspired you? Who did you look to, from afar, obviously, for guidance? Did you model yourself after anyone? Did you, who who did you really enjoy watching and think, "I want to be that?"
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, as from a horror standpoint, I would definitely say like Sissy Spacek was a huge
Mhm.
influence and inspiration for me, and like you mentioned, Two Witches, and that I definitely like channeled some of her in that performance, or at least thought about like what would she do in this. But I think obviously Carrie is just a phenomenal performance, and could have been something that could have been just like missed, but
Mhm.
she just nailed it, and she's so brilliant. And of course, she's had like many other amazing performances. But as in terms of like horror, and when I was young, she was definitely one that stood out to me as different and unique, and um, something that was just like really deeply suffering, and characters that I'm like constantly looking to play interesting, unique people that are like either suffering internally or externally, or in some way have many layers to them, more than kind of meets the eye.
Okay, let's talk about your brand spanking new movie. You said September 12th is coming out in select theaters, right?
Yes.
But it's Traumatica, right?
Yes.
What's the premise of Traumatica? You talked a little bit of it, but, like, can you tell me any more about our storyline of it?
Yeah, so it's about a little boy named Mikey who starts to feel that his night terrors are becoming reality when his mother may or may not be possessed. And I play the mom, Abigail. I don't want to tell you too much more than that, because, um, I don't want to spoil it. I don't. I have an interesting turn in it, and so I don't want to give away like kind of why I am the way I am
Mhm.
until people see it.
Of
But
course.
I am excited. It's a wild, crazy, kind of traumatic, the way in the title, experience. It deals with a lot of different themes and abuse, and kind of what we went back to in terms of like what can you deal with within a horror movie, and it deals with childhood trauma and like how that is manifested, and kind of passed along to, generation to generation, and how that, happens. So I'm excited for, for people to see it.
So what were some of the challenges in playing Abigail? If you
So
can talk without
yeah,
getting
yeah, without
spoilers
giving
on
too much away,
right.
there are definitely some challenging scenes. One of the more challenging things was, we worked with, his name is Rainan, who plays Mikey. He was probably 6 at the time, I think, of filming. And so he was very young, and he's fantastic in the movie. But of course, because he's young, we had to protect him as much as possible. So I have quite a few scenes with him, but because of the makeup, if anyone hasn't seen any trailers, when you see the trailer or posters, I look pretty horrific in a lot of the movie. I have big boils and black eyes, and my teeth are, and so it would be far too scary for someone of that age to see. So we filmed a lot of it. When I filmed my scenes with him, my coverage, which is like when the camera is on me, I was alone. We filmed it without him. And then so I filmed a lot of the movie by myself. And then, of course, when we filmed his stuff, then I didn't have the makeup on. So it would just, he just saw me as me. And we would get from behind, or so it was a lot of camera trickery in that sense. And just working with a child, because you can't tell them what's actually going on. So, you try to tell them to get the reactions you need little as possible, but so they could still understand, okay, and we would kind of do it together. Like, okay, now we're scared in this moment. Now we're worried in this moment. Now we're breathing in this, whatever whatever the director would need, we kind of work together on that. And he's fantastic. But so that was challenging. That was definitely challenging. Not having anything there, you're just kind of like acting to yourself, and pretending. So, I've never, I say never, I've done a little bit of that, but not to that extent, because normally, when you're working with adults, obviously the person could be in the scene. So that was the first time I really worked with kids in that way. And then some of the scenes, like I said, don't want to spoil it, but some of the scenes were definitely, more challenging to film, and people will see probably what I mean when they see it. But the set, I love, the same guys that did Two Witches, same director, same producer, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, so
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
a treat, hopefully. They make the sets really safe, and I don't want to say fun, because that's it's when you're filming this kind of movie, it's not necessarily fun, but I enjoy my time, because it feels like I can go to the places I need to go. I always feel safe. I always feel supported. I always feel like they give me the time that I need, ahead of time, or it's like if I need another take, they're always open to giving me another take, whatever it is to get to the place that I need to be in order to perform. And so even though the material is challenging in that way, it never feels like I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing. If that makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really, really enjoy working with them, and as long as they would have me, I will be a part of whatever they're doing, because they're just, Pierre, the director, is just a genius in general, but we are always able to play and come up with so much more than just on the page, and that's a testament to him and his trust of his actors, and me trusting him to do whatever, of course, what the scene requires, but then having time to find what else we can as well.
Where was it shot at?
It was shot here in LA, most of my things were in a house that is in Sun Valley that almost burned down. I don't even know how long ago. And now they just use it as like a film set. And so the walls are black. It's very dilapidated and creepy on its own. So you just add some furniture here and there, and the set design is done. It was a really creepy old house that was very cold when it was cold and very hot when it was hot. and but it added so much atmosphere and it looks fantastic. And then I had a couple scenes that were we shot in like in a studio where the house was this inside studio. So, but mostly various places in LA.
How how many days was your shoot?
It was about 15 total. I mean, I didn't work all 15, but something like that. Yeah.
Fast and Furious, right?
Mhm. Always for indie movies, always.
So, is there anything else you can tell us about the movie without getting spoilery? We've talked about it a lot. Is there anything else you want to share before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I
And
hope
then you'll
people
have to come back in like 6 months to a
yes,
year, and then we can
and then
spoil
we'll
the
talk
shit
about it.
out of it.
I hope people will just check it out, we're a smaller movie. We started as an independent before Saban Films, bought it, and we did the festival run last year. We went to Fright Fest in London, and we did Stitches in Spain, um, and so I hope people will just give it a chance and check it out and support smaller movies. It's I loved, the movies that have come out like Weapons and Sinners and the Fantastic. I mean, they've been, it's a fantastic year in horror. So, I hope people will give a chance to like a smaller movie as well and check it out and spread the word if you love it. I'm excited to see what people think. It's a crazy movie, but I think the filmmakers are just really fantastic and brilliant, and I'm excited to see what they do next, and hopefully they'll take me along too.
Well, if the power of Terrifier has taught us anything, it's audiences are in control of successes of movies, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And so let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's make this the new Terrifier.
yeah, yeah. People, willing to go out to the theater and, buy a ticket, and it means so much to us to have the support, for, movies that don't have the same reach as bigger ones, so, it was exciting to see for Terrifier 3, I mean, of course, Terrifier 2 is as well, but for 3 especially, the hordes of people that went,
Mhm.
to support it is just incredible, and it's like you said, the audiences can make a movie that maybe would fly under the radar, not fly under the radar. So, I'm excited to see like what happens.
Me too. I'm so excited. Okay, let's talk for a little while about Crust.
Okay.
Yeah, because I saw a lot of hype about that one. Not horror, right?
It's a horror
Is it?
comedy.
Okay.
So
I
it's not
I
for anyone
hadn't seen it, so
that's
I'm so ignorant on this.
no, you're fine. So anyone that's like, doesn't like scary, this is the one for you because it's not scary. It's about a guy, Sean Whalen plays a guy that, used to be a child actor, and now he's an adult and he's depressed and struggling and not having a good life. And he lives and owns a laundromat. And he, collects all the socks that people leave over, for whatever reason. That's like you always find like one sock, right? And he, has a pile in his room and he uses them to like, wipe his nose and his other when someone is mean to him, he cries into the socks, and they become this sock monster called Crust. And the sock monster then avenges all of his kind of enemies, people that are against him or have said mean things or whatever. And I play the his like love interest in the film. So I play Mila, who's kind of this quirky um, woman that's like looking for, a place to belong and looking for love, looking for someone to like love her. So it's a really it's not scary in the traditional sense, but it's a really fun, quirky ride. The sock monster was played by a puppeteer. Her name is Rachel person, and she's incredible. And it's no CGI, it's a real working puppet, and that I think made such a difference having him on set as
Oh,
well
wow.
off of. She's just fantastic and made him come to life. And so it's a very like Little Shop of Horrors type vibe. Clerks, as far as like just a small, all takes place in one place. And it's just a really fun, sweet movie.
Aw, I can't wait to see it now. I mean, one of the topics when I do movie reviews that we talk about is there's a prop we would like to own segment, and I can tell that I'm gonna want Crust I'm gonna want the crust.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, he's so cute. Like, he has so many scenes, even though he's, like, eating people, he also is just, like, so cute, and you're like, you just wanna, like, yeah, you just wanna hug him, and even though he's not real.
As we've talked about, you've done a lot of film and TV. Is
Mhm.
there a specific piece of work you're most proud of? I know that's, like, hard because it's like picking your favorite child, but is there
Gosh.
one where you're like, "Man, I worked real, real hard on that, and I'm real proud of how that came out?"
Oh, that's a hard question. I feel like so many well, it's hard to say that. Like, it's hard to be like, I'm proud of so many of my performances.
Mhm.
It's like it's weird to even say you're proud of anything, because as an actor, you're like always criticizing yourself and being like, oh, I wish I could have done that better, or I wish I did that differently. Kind of all you can do is your best, and then hope for the best.
Yes.
When they edit it together. I don't know. I mean, I there's a few that like I put a lot of work into, and I feel like it's so hard to pick because then I feel like I'm singling out something that then means I'm not like proud of the other work. Um,
No, it just
so,
means that this one's a standout in your brain.
I mean, for me, like I'd say like Law and Order SVU was
Mhm.
probably a standout just in terms of she's so different than me
Mhm.
and who I am as a person and my mannerisms and characteristics. And so I'd say she's one that stands out in terms of that, just being very like different from who I am and feel like I was still able to connect to her in like a real way. It's funny. Right after I did the episode and it came out, I did an interview talking about the show. And the before we started recording, the guy that was doing the interview said, like, I didn't know what to expect when I met you. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I don't know, I thought you might be kind of weird. And I was like, well, then success, right? Like, I did my job as an actor. If you thought like maybe that's how I am in real life. Um,
Right.
and he's like, oh, it's so refreshing. You're like normal. And I was like, all
Thank
right, I
you.
did it. I guess I did it.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, or like Station 19 was really interesting because I played a drug addict. And it's like that also is very different from me as a person. So I don't know. I also worked really, really hard on the veil and like Two Witches and like Crust. It's really hard to name one because I feel like I try to work hard on everything I
Mhm.
do. So, I hope that they come out good. You know?
When you're delving into a character, especially one that's really different from who you are, what's your process on getting to know her?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, what I try to do first is, especially like you said, when they're very far away from who I am, I try to look and see what is similar. Because most of the time I can't relate to the situation that they're in because I play characters that are like going through crazy things. It's not, I rarely do anything that's like the mundane everyday life that Rebecca has experienced.
You're right.
So I try to connect to what I can connect to first is, what, so like for SVU, for instance, just take that for an example. And then when that hasn't seen my episode, I play a it was kind of loosely based on the Turpin family that kept their kids like locked up in their house, and they weren't allowed to like leave or bathe. Hardly, they barely fed them. And I play a girl that escapes to get help. And it's like, of course, my family growing up, I was really blessed and lucky to have a wonderful family. So I don't know what that's like, but I do know what it's like to feel lost and alone and to feel like no one really understands you and no one sees you. I think a lot of people can relate to that, if not most people. So I start there. I start with what I can relate to and what is similar to me, and then I go in that way, and then as I'm developing the character, finding things that aren't her based on this, that aren't me based on the script and the circumstances and what's happening. But that's really the way I can make it personal to me is relating in some way to like what she's feeling. Even if the situation isn't situation for situation, it's feelings for feelings. Like I can
Mhm.
understand someone that's so desperate um, for something that they would go to links that aren't great, or for traumatica, and for instance, um, I can relate to feeling very protective of something or someone, and what that would look like if someone was going to take that away from me. What would I do to protect them? And how far would I go? And then I can't blame her for doing the things that she does, even though they're not good.
Mhm.
Um, so I go in that way, and that is really helpful to make it personal. Because if I can't make it personal, then it all feels very like just out ethereal, and I don't know how to connect to her.
Very good.
Yeah.
What's your next step after you do that? Do you,
Yeah.
like, you play a drug addict, hopefully you're not a drug addict in real life. Do you
So
go and research, mannerisms or personality traits, or do you just
yeah.
kind of go with instincts?
Yeah. So I do like a little bit of both. I definitely research. I definitely look at interviews of people that are either going through something similar to what the character is going through, or like when I did The Veil, I played an Amish woman, and so I had an interview for like 2 hours. I was able to talk to a woman that used to be in the Amish community, and I just took copious notes and tried to infuse some of the things she told me into the script that I felt like were important to the community and to being as authentic as possible. Um, and that goes the same with like, playing someone that's on drugs, or someone that's playing a victim. I try to like look at interviews of people, because I can have the idea in my mind how they should be, but it's always helpful to see how people really are and how they really react to situations. And then there's going to be a blend of the two. There's going to be a blend of what I researched, and there's a blend of like just me, because it's me, just
Mhm.
like somebody else would play the character differently because they're them.
Right.
Um, so there's, I do as much research as I can, and then on set, I try to let it go, let it all go, let the work go, and just be able to react and be with my scene partner, and whatever comes up, comes up. That makes sense.
Yeah. How long does it take you typically, on average, to get through this whole
Well,
process?
that honestly depends on how
Yeah.
long I have.
Yeah.
Uh, SVU, I booked it on a Thursday. I flew out Sunday. We started shooting Tuesday.
Wow.
So I had very like not a lot of time to go deeper than what I had done in the audition. So I try to work smarter, not harder. And, as an actor, as you do this long enough, you start to learn like, all right, how can I work more efficiently? Because it doesn't matter if you do like 27 hours of work or homework if none of it translates, if none of it shows up. It doesn't really matter. So I'm like, okay, what can I do that's efficient that will still translate, that I can still give all my all to this character in the time that I have? And then sometimes I have months to work on
Mhm.
something. And so then I'll do it a little bit at a time. I don't feel like I have to do it all in one. So it just depends on, there's sometimes it's nice when you have not a lot of time, because
Mhm.
you're forced to like do it now. And sometimes when you have like 6 months, it's like, oh, I'll like do that later. So, um,
And there is such a thing as over preparing
yes,
sometimes.
and there is overthinking and over
Yeah.
preparing, and like then you're starting to get in your head and worried
Yeah.
about every little thing. So there is a
Yeah.
nice, you know, sometimes, yeah, like you said, not starting too early, and then I'm like too in my head about it, and then it's coming out, not fun, it doesn't feel
Yeah.
spontaneous, or you've worked it to death, you
Yeah,
know.
I had, like, a very important to me interview not too long ago, and I was working real hard. I was doing tons of research, and I was like, "You know what? I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck this up."
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'm done. I wanna step away, and I'm just gonna let it go and carry it on like a conversation like I normally like to have, and whatever
Yeah.
happens, happens." 'Cause, like, I'm gonna over prepare and mess it up.
Yeah, well, it's funny, when I auditioned, for Criminal Minds that I booked, I coached with my acting coach before, and when I was it was the morning of the audition, because that was what he had time for, and it was like, we did in the morning, and my audition was at, like, 4, and as I was leaving, he's like, "Please do me a favor, Rebecca." He's like, "Don't run this again."
Mhm.
He's like, "Don't go home and run this to the ground over and over and over." He's like, "Please let the next time you do these lines be in the audition." And so I did, and I ended up booking it. Um, and I think there was something to be said about that. He's like, "You're prepared, you're ready. because we get so nervous as actors, especially when the auditions were live, that we'd forget a line or that whatever we were doing wouldn't show up, that we like run it to the ground. And then by the time we get there, it's like we've said it 1,000 times and it's not anything that we would have like found is gone, you know? So it's interesting learning how to do that, and it's not always easy.
So you've done a lot in the industry over your course of being an actor. Is there something in the industry that you haven't done yet that you would like to tackle?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be like a series regular on a show, on a TV show. I haven't done that, and I would love to do that. I would love to play a character for more than like an episode or two. I feel like, you know, it's hard with you're playing a guest star because like you get to know them and you like create this character and then you're done, you know, after the episode. So I would love to like be able to like, you know, carry on a character for, you know, maybe multiple episodes, multiple seasons or whatever, to see like the evolution of something and the growth of a character and like where a character could go would be really cool.
Okay, so on to some of the fun questions. Okay, I call them like my popcorn questions, you know.
Okay.
We've talked serious for almost an hour. Let's have some
Yes.
fun.
Yes. If
If
you
you're
are still tuning in, thank you for now the
yeah,
fun.
if your acting career had a theme song, what would it be? It's fun for everyone except you who has to answer it.
Yeah, that's a terrible question. Um, oh my gosh, I don't even know. Why can't I think of a single song right now? Like
Because it's like asking someone what they want for Christmas.
yeah, I literally am like, I don't know. I've never heard a song in my life. I no song. Um, I literally cannot think of a song.
I got one for you.
Okay, please, please.
Okay, so this is my interpretation of you. This has nothing to do with how you feel, obviously, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but the only thing I might love just as much as horror and my favorite TV show, which is 90210, is musical theater,
Oh,
right?
yes. Mhm.
It's my favorite. So, I mean, I've been on a big Cole Porter kick lately,
Okay.
and I'm thinking anything goes for you.
Oh, that's great. That's a good one. That's a great song. That's yes, absolutely.
Because
I love that.
you've done so much, right? So, of across all types of characters, so anything goes.
Yeah.
That's that's
And
my
I
answer for you.
yes, I will take it. So my answer is anything goes. Cole Porter. Thank you so much. No, it's true because I'm just
With a
like,
fun tap number in the middle.
yeah, and you know, now that it's like I get excited about like what kind of characters am I going to play next? Like what crazy, unique, wild characters can I find to do next? I've a friend of mine once told me, I love hearing about the auditions you have because
Yeah.
their characters are always insane. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I love that. So I will take that. That's my answer. Thank you so much.
If you were to manifest a certain type of character that you would like to play next, what type would that be?
Ooh, that's good. It's another hard one.
Like, what's your heart and soul telling you that you would really like to tackle next?
So I don't want to do like a remake of this movie because I could never.
Right.
But I don't know if you ever saw the movie Nell with Jodie
Oh,
Foster.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, she was obviously brilliant in that movie and like was nominated and
Yeah.
things. But so I don't want to like remake anything, but it would just a character that's like just so fascinating to me, like someone that's like lived in the woods
Mm.
and has a whole nother language and is like a
Mhm.
whole nother way of life and almost as feral. And then you're
Yeah.
meeting her and she's trying to figure out how to either adjust or live in this world. I don't know. When I saw that movie, I just was like so fascinated by her and this character. I think it would be so fun to play some kind of like woman that like lived in the woods and maybe she had kids or that were all kind of in this weird feral like life and like what that would look like probably as a horror film, I'm sure. Um
But that I
yeah, I don't know.
woods are scary.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, because I mean, obviously Nell wasn't a horror film, so it's like if
No.
that and made it into a horror film, what that would look like.
To me, it was though, because I don't like being isolated. I don't like being in the wilderness or the woods. I never did. My folks loved going camping, and I hated every single second of it,
Yeah,
right? And then, of course, now I don't go into the woods, and I hate road trips because, I've seen The Hills Have Eyes.
you've
Don't
seen
do ro
you've
don't
seen
don't do road trips. I don't like being out in the middle of nowhere where there's no help coming, right? My biggest fear ever is probably getting lost
Mm,
and not being able to find my way somewhere, right? So that isolation that Nell had
yeah,
is kind of horrific to me. So I
yeah,
think that could definitely be a horror film,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that
right?
to me would be an interesting character. I don't know. Yeah.
I agree. I think you'd rock that type of character.
Thank you.
Yes.
I hate to say me too, because it's like, but
Well,
thank you.
no, I do. Just like so you mentioned Sissy Spacek, you mentioned Carrie, right?
Mhm.
They've remade Carrie twice.
Yes.
I think you would be so good in that role,
If
right?
I was still 15,
Well,
yes. Or was yeah, because then now they're making a TV show and, like,
are
everybody
they really? I'm so out
yeah,
of
and
touch right
Mike
now.
Flanagan's doing it, and
Oh,
everybody was messaging me like, "Are you auditioning?" And I'm like, "I'm too old now." Like,
okay, so,
high
like,
school, I just
technically, you're too old, but
yeah.
you could pull it off.
Well, thank you. I that's very kind.
You could pull it off. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
they will not see me. I'm past the prime of, like, playing high school,
you've
so
aged out of Carrie.
that's why I'm like, "All right, I need to find a new Carrie for me, but, like, that's I could play." It's, like, not remaking that movie, but,
What
like,
if
what could be a new iconic character like
what
her?
if Carrie didn't die? You could be the grown version.
Yes, what if
What
she
if
was
she
still in
escaped?
society?
Yeah,
Yes, what if she escaped,
what
didn't
if
die?
she ran? Yeah.
Yeah,
Stephen King, make that book, please. Come
yeah,
on,
if
you
you're
did it
listening
with The Shining, you can do it with Carrie.
if you're listening and you wanna what if Carrie was still alive, what
Right,
that would actually be really interesting because you could do so many things with that, to see, like, what would her life be like now?
right.
That's
Okay, and the last fun question is this is along the musical the song theme song question, alright?
no.
I know. Okay, so if there was a movie based on your life, what would it be called?
Let's see what happens next.
That's a great answer. Someone
I
else
feel like that is yeah.
somebody asked me that at work not too long ago, and I'm like 5 months ago. I said, I'm putting that in my list of questions because I love it." And I thought of my answer right away, and my
What was
answer
your
was
answer?
and then she took a nap.
Yeah, she had a lot to do, and then she took a
And
nap.
then she took a nap, because sleeping is my go-to for everything. I'm so tired all the time. I'm
Yeah,
just exhausted, and, it's like my trauma response almost now as an adult, if something goes wrong, I go and I go to bed. It's my depression response. I just crawl right into bed and sleep.
yeah.
Um,
Well, sleep does wonders, actually.
I love my sleep, so I love my naps, and I don't get to take very many of them because I work 3 jobs, and so
I love naps.
I
Naps are a big, big thing.
aren't
Yes.
you aren't you so mad at yourself when you were 5 and you resisted taking a nap, and now you're like,
'Cause you didn't wanna miss anything, and now it's like, "I'm good. I've lived the world. I know what's happening. I
I
can"
take it all back. I want a nap. So mine it would be, and then she took a nap.
yeah. Well, because then especially if, like, you're gonna do something in the evening, and, like so my husband and I will be like, "Okay, we have to go rally at, like, 7." So if we take a nap at, like, 3,
Yeah,
then, like, you feel good and rejuvenated for the evening.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so to wrap us up, one final question. I've been incorporating this because I think it's fun. I go to the Delve deck. Do you know what that
Okay.
is?
I don't.
So this is a deck of cards. There's 3 of them from the company Boardwalk, BOREDWALK.com.
Oh,
It's an
fun. Okay.
LA-based company, uh, not a sponsor. I just really love this company. They got some really funny, snarky shirts. They got games like this. I love this company and their values and what they stand for. So go support Boardwalk. .com because they got some fun stuff. And then, it's just an independent company. So it's not big business. So, got to support those guys like indie films, right? So
Absolutely.
what this is it is a box of question cards, right? Of all different levels. And I've mixed them up for funsies. Like there's all different colors. The darker it gets, the more deep it gets, right?
All right.
And I'm going to mix it up and I'm going to draw one.
Okay, as long as it's not what is your theme song.
Well, see, I don't know. It could be. All right. It's mixed, it's cut, and our question is, I got two, so I'm taking this first one. Um, okay, this is deep.
Oh, no.
What makes life worth living?
All right, what a good way to end the call. Just hang up. No.
I got a second option here because I drew two. If you prefer this one, we have, I like this one. What's a problem you're proud to have solved recently?
I'll go with the first one, I think, 'cause
Okay.
I don't know if I have an answer for the second one.
What makes life worth living for you? Because that's different for everyone, right?
Of course. I think it's my family, my friends, my husband. I, feel really blessed to have like an amazing support system. And my husband allows, it's like not allows me. That sounds like he's like, you are loud, but like supports where I can do this,
Well, he
and
followed you to LA. He
yeah,
went with you instead of saying, "I'm not going. You can't
yeah,
go,"
he did
or
it,
or "We're done."
or we're done. Yeah. And he's just never questioned it. We started a production company last year and we just finished our first feature called Swipe, and he's a producer on it in his first one. And he just, he's just all in. And the little, I think it's easy to like when things feel like they're not going right to
Mhm.
focus on that and
Mhm.
only that.
Mhm.
And I think it's so important to find the little things that are going right, because there are. And those are the things that make life. It's like a bunch of small moments that lead up to the big ones. It's rarely just like big moments only. I look back at my career or my life or family or whatever's happening, and it's like all these small moments have led up to the big moments that, quote unquote, like have made an impact. And I think all of those things for me make life worth it. And just seeing what kind of impact you can make on other people, and whether it be friends or family or people, strangers, that you don't even know. You can, light up somebody else's life and make their life worth living as well. um, yeah, I think that's my answer.
I love that. It's a great answer. All right. Well, I mean, we have to talk about this now. Well, tell me about this production company I didn't know about. What's going on with that? How did that start for you?
Yeah, so we started a company called Slight Entertainment. And so I directed a short film, and then we did a web series, and then we just wrapped our first feature film called, like I said, called Swipe, with Hana May Lee from Pitch Perfect, Elaine Hendricks from Parent Trap, and a bunch of other amazing actors. Ray Santiago from Ashes
Yeah.
vs. Evil Dead, and just Sean Whalen, who I mentioned, is directed it. And it's a horror film, of course. And I'm excited for people to see it. It's probably be next year, I'm sure. But we're in post now, so it's about a guy that swipes right on a dating app, and goes to meet her, and wakes up in a basement, and he's been kidnapped by this crazy woman and her three crazy daughters. And I play his sister, who's then has to try to save him. So yeah, so it's a fun ride.
The dangers of dating, stranger danger. Oh my God. It's a rough world out there.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my gosh. Rebekah, this is awesome. Thank you so much for your time and for doing this so early. I know it's early for you. I
No,
really appreciate it.
no, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited that we got to do this finally, and thank you so much for your support and your great questions. It was lovely chatting.
Thank you. Now, you'll have to come back in 6 months or a year after Traumatica's been out for a while, so we can really delve deep into
Yes.
this. I think it's gonna need a lot more discussion, so we can
Yes.
spoil it for everyone then, and that would
I
be
agree. Yes, I'm
awesome.
excited to talk to you about it.
Everyone, thanks for tuning into this wonderful interview. It's been such a pleasure for me. I hope you had a great time. And yeah, I can't wait to do it again. Thank you. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.